start recording. Alright, so told you I was going to teach you how to write melodies, and that's finally going to happen. Let's see. So in my personal opinion, the best way to start writing a melody is to start with a chord progression. So I'm gonna start with teaching you how to write a good chord progression first. Alright, so the genre that I listen to the most with like really good chord progressions is future bass, so I'm gonna be doing this at a future bass-ish tempo, 150 beats per minute. There. By default, my piano roll is set to G minor. I have no idea how to fix that. So, first thing you want to do when you're making a chord progression is select the root notes of the chords, because if the root notes of the chord don't sound good together, the real chord progression isn't going to sound that great either. Hang on. Alright, now you've probably heard this chord progression before. In some key or another. I don't know if you play Geometry Dash, but it's the chord progression for Stereo Madness. However, I'm going with this variation on it here, where it goes to the 5th note of the progression instead of the 2nd note of the progression where you would expect it to go to. What if we... hang on, this one's a little off. And then, if you want, you can make the chord progression 8 bars, which in this case, that means we take the same first 3 chords and then take this one to, what's this? The 4th instead of the 5th and an octave up. Am I using too much jargon for you? But overall, it's pretty simple. Just pick a scale, set the scale highlighting, pick notes in that scale that sound good for a chord progression. So once you've got that down, take it an octave up and you'll start writing the actual chords. Because these are just the bass notes. Those would be on a different instrument in the final production. I'm just working in a piano here for ease of use, or whatever. Alright, so the basic way of making chords is you take the first 3 notes of... so you see how G is highlighted, then this note is highlighted, and then this note is highlighted. So you skip one highlighted note every time, and that gives you a chord that is guaranteed to sound at least kind of good. Not always, but it generally works. Now, when I finish writing this, you're going to notice that it sounds kind of cheesy, but we'll fix that in a second. Now, this chord right here is not working, because if we reduce it just to the root note. Wait, that's not... here. There, that sounds a little better, but it's not exactly what... Alright, so we've got a pretty good sounding chord progression, but it sounds a little cheesy. So here's how you take your chord progressions from sounding cheesy and simplistic to sounding like good. Is the camera focused on my face? Yeah, good, it still is. So basically, the key to this is inversions. The simplest inversion you can do is take the third note of the chord and put it up an octave. And when you do that, it sounds like... Now, the last notes of each progression aren't exactly what you'd expect for that chord progression. If you've got a chord progression going on in your head that you want to transpose, start by writing out like a chord progression like this that kind of sort of follows what you want to do, and then the note that you're hearing in your head is almost certainly the highest note of the chord progression. So like right now I'm hearing da, 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 da. So then if we make this the highest note of the progression, notice how it's being duplicated from down here. Yeah, now there, that sounds a little bit more like what I was going for. There. Now you'll notice that, never mind, you won't notice that because I was wrong. Ignore that. I'm never wrong. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to temporarily zoom out. That was a bit too far. select everything and take the velocity down, because what you wanted to learn about here was writing melodies, and while a chord progression is necessary for developing a good melody, although it's not like universally necessary, I guess, you don't want the chords to overwhelm what the melody is actually going to be, so we're making the chords quieter. Alright, so the next step to a melody is doing what's called an ostinato, which can be as simple as not that fast. Now, while ostinatos aren't like instantaneous in being written, it's easier to write them than just like generating a full-blown melody out of nowhere. So just mess around with ostinatos and figure out what works. Alright, and then let's take this up another octave just so we have room for it. Oops, I accidentally had another note selected. That was not intentional. Okay, there we go. Now granted, that does not really sound interesting, it gets repetitive after a while. So what you can do is you can add variations to this ostinato and change it up like... or something like, maybe let's save that one for later. So yeah, you can add variation like that. You can go as crazy with the variations as you want, honestly. Also, let's set the grid to step or maybe half beat there, because I think that's as far as we're going to subdivide the grid. But we can change it if we need to. So if I'm wrong, that's not really a big deal. So and then another key important thing with melody is arranging stuff. So like if we start out with that, can get really repetitive really quickly. So we can also make it like... Or, better yet, we can make that last note follow the chord progression if we want. Hang on. What are the chords we're working with? Oh wow, we actually were following the chord progression. Kind of. Oh, hey Gregory. Yes, I'm still recording.
I was actually asking if you're done recording,
Yeah, so the important thing is, if something isn't sounding good, just like in a basic piano like this, it's probably not going to sound good no matter what kind of instrumentation you use. So, keep that in mind, and if something isn't working for you, just delete it and create something different. Like, not all of these notes that I keep messing around with would actually work that well in real life. So anyway, and then again, the important thing is variation. So yeah, just like that, making a chord progression, and honestly a pretty basic chord progression, inverting it and doing voice leading on it, and then making an ostinato with variations, we've got all of this. Oops, hang on. Well, I forgot to copy this note here over, but this is actually a perfect opportunity to introduce a new variation. Sure if I'm happy with that. Hang on. Oh yeah, hang on. It was here. So yeah, now this is just on a piano. We were working with stuff that you definitely have in your DAW. This is a Flex piano patch. It's literally included with the default version of FL Studio, I think. You should at least get Producer Edition, by the way. Fruity Edition isn't worth it. You can't work with audio clips. How long have I been recording for? 20 minutes. Jeez. So anyway. Of course, like, creating a good melody is only half the battle. The other half is extreme violence. I mean sound selection. So, for the sound selection part, we're going to load up Vital here, and I don't really know if I have any great presets for it. Let's see. You know what? Sure. So we can copy the melody from over here and make a new pattern, the lead, and paste it into here. That's up way too high, hang on. I'm recording in here. Now, honestly, that original ostinato kind of sounded good, but I'm not sure I'm a fan of it here. I like this more because it varies between, like, very short notes and one sustained note. Because, like, variation is important and stuff. I know, shocking. And then... But that won't work for the chords, so we can bring up another instance of Vital here. And I just want to say, the sounds I'm choosing here are different for every genre. So just because I am, like, choosing these specific sounds, this is like using Future Bass as a demonstration. It's not supposed to be taken, like, as an absolute. So, for the chords, real quick, I'll make a super saw patch. Compressor, maybe. Nah, I like it better without the compressor. Actually, hang on. Okay, sound design trick. If you don't want to do super saws, you can make this thing called chaos saws. So what you need to do is you take the random oscillator down here, set it to seconds, set it to the minimum possible number of seconds, and drag it over here to the fine pitch and make the LFO bipolar. And then if you want, you can actually layer it with a super saw, since Vital has 3 oscillators, so... See, now that sounds cool. Add some soft clip tooth. Nope, never mind. And add a little bit of reverb. And of course, this patch took me like 5 seconds to make. Oh yeah, and let's add a little bit of white noise, but turn the volume down. Should go into filter 2. Let's set oscillator 1 to filter 1. Enable filter 2. High pass the white noise. It's a subtle effect, but it does kind of make a difference. The important part is just like the sounds you're selecting won't really work if you're not putting them in the right instruments. is the key concept here. Alright. So we're going to select everything except the bass notes. The bass notes are going to go on their own patch. Alright, copy. Zoom back in so our notes are identifiable as notes. New pattern, chords. And that's an octave too low. Did I forget to copy the last chord? Crap, I forgot to copy the last chord. Dang it, I'm stupid. Okay, this time for sure. This time for sure. There, okay. Copy that and paste it into the pattern with the chords. You know what? That sounds fine, but it's got a little too much low end for my taste. I'm sorry, I'm being perfectionistic about this when I arguably shouldn't. So let's just high pass. So the fundamental of the lowest note is right around here, so you can low pass it right there without causing any issues. Alright, and then bring in another instance of vital. And we're going to use a bass preset for this one. Let's see, where is it? Vlogsroll, Vital Essentials, bass. Where was that freaking bass that I had when okay, whatever. It doesn't matter, I'm being too perfectionistic. Alright, so my point is, my point here was not about the specific sounds I'm using, but to show you how I typically do instrumentation. Let's copy that. New pattern, bass. Paste it in there. Let's see, what are... And then I just like to add a little sub bass in with this patch. Nobody's not going to notice that one. Let's just replace it with a... sub bass there. Alright, and now when we layer the lead with the chords with the bass, it sounds like. Now this isn't perfect, obviously. There's a lot of room for improvement. For one thing, I could add drums. Screw it, let's do that. Kick. Set it to step. Now I could be choosing better samples here. I'm just trying to do this quickly. Snare. Key is this in? This is in G, so we're gonna have to transpose this a little bit. So E, F, F sharp, G. Layer it with this if we want. Yeah, that sounds cool. And
that's right.
Let's see. I might get a cymatics hat loop. Let's drag this one in and get it in time. Oh wait, nothing's routed into the mixer yet. Hang on. Alright, and we route all of these into... And we route all of these into the sidechain channel. Okay, that's way too much sidechain. Dial it back. Oh yeah, and this is clipping, which needs to be fixed. Let's just... Let's make this shorter. lot of this out, just because making music takes a bit. Alright, so, and I added some really simple drums here, literally just a hi-hat loop, a kick and a snare, and some side chain. And just like that, we've got this future bass loop. Now, this is not perfect. For one thing, okay, admittedly, it's not very good. But the reasons why it's not good are not, like, composition related, they're production related. Alright, so just to recap, what we did to get this awesome melody is we didn't end up using this second half, so I'll just get rid of it. Is we started with these bass notes. And then we added these chords on top of them. And then we created an ostinato of these 4 notes. And then we messed around with the rhythm until we got this arguably really simple rhythm of and we made variations on the ostinato each time. And we basically just looped that, but with a different chord progression for the second 8 bars. And then we changed the instrumentation to spread it across a lead, chords, and a bass line. So we've got that. Now if you want to add a little bit more interest, there's other stuff you can do. Like, I really love adding a little arpeggio here. Making an arpeggio is really simple to do. We can just like pick any sound like this. Make sure the attack is really short. And then what you can do is you can just take the chords, copy them, and make a new pattern. And paste them. Now right now it sounds like that, but there's 2 ways you can arpeggiate stuff. First of all, you can bring up Vital, click on this little gear at the top, and enable this arpeggiator. Let's see, how do you enable this? You can select, and it starts by default off. You can select any of these options to make it go up, down, up or down, a different version of up or down, or completely random, and make it so. Now, that's cool and all, but personally what I prefer to do is click on this little wrench up here and, let's see, hit arpeggiate, and you can make it be anywhere from pattern. So yeah, you can choose from a whole bunch of different options there. And mess around with any of these settings. So yeah, if we add that arpeggio into what we just made, and for arrangement's sake, we can make the second half of the drop more interesting by restricting it to the second half of the drop here. And if we do that, and if we route that into insert 5, and if we route insert 5 to the side chain, honestly, Ableton is so much better for mixing. I really wish I'd bought Ableton now. Anyway, so if we do that, it sounds like... Okay, so you can't hear it, like, at all. So we need to give a little more beefiness to this. Alright, so if we do all of that, we get a future bass loop with a pretty interesting arrangement that altogether sounds pretty okay. Let's save this. Alright, so, I've been yapping for way too long. I should stop recording now, because I don't really have anything else to say. Oh, good lord, that's 45 minutes to filter.